Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Fire Force, episode 20. So yeah, we are getting into the final set of episodes for this, and I'm very excited to see how this goes down, but at the same time, I was like, as I'm pre-recording this and all, I was kind of like wondering, do I want to get to this right now? Like, because I'm just like, the last episode, the stuff with Tamaki irritated the shit out of me. It's just like, there was so much set up for that villain in that episode, mind you, but still. There was this setup for that villain done in a very specific way to make him very specifically threatening. And he's defeated like that, and it's like just so unsatisfying in the worst way. Like, the idea is clearly meant to be like, oh yeah, that's the point. He's being set up as this big scary villain, but he gets beaten out by perversion and shit, and it's like, haha, funny, and it's like, it's not funny. That kind of shit is never funny. I understand that America and Japan and different cultures in general around the world have different cultural norms and standards for all kinds of stuff, humor included. Things that are found oftentimes funny in Japan may not be the same as here in America, or in France, or in Egypt, or India, or so on and so forth. Standards for humor and stuff like that, especially with humor being so subjective, is going to be different depending on where you are. And this is in a lot of different anime that I've noticed. The kind of thing where, like, perversion is used for comedic purposes. And I've never understood, because it's never been funny to me. I've never thought that was funny. Like, why, what's the joke? Like, even just outside of the fact that the perversion aspect of it is dumb and poorly handled, and it's just fan service for the sake of fan service, like, how is it supposed to be comedic? How is it supposed to be funny? Like, what is the joke there? What's the punchline? I don't understand. There's nothing funny about it. There's no humor to it. It's just gross and unlikable and unenjoyable to watch. It's the same kind of issue I have with, like, characters like Mineta in My Hero Academia. Like, yeah, it's clearly meant to be comic relief. He's clearly there for jokes. And, like, yeah, of course, you see him, like, get hit and thrown around and beat up for the shit he does. But it's like, it's still not funny. It's never funny. Why do you think this is funny? I don't understand. And at least in that, it's being shown as a bad thing. At least in that, Horikoshi is showing that it's a negative and that Mineta is in the wrong. Even if it's still fucking gross and ridiculous and bad to show it, at least he's acknowledging it's bad and gross and ridiculous. But in this, it's just like, the joke is that, like, everybody else is somehow at fault for her having some kind of pervert magnet. That it's not even like she's drawing in perverts. It's that she falls into these stupid situations that causes people to, like, accidentally touch her under her clothes and stuff like that. And it's like, the entire thing about her, for one, blaming them and attacking them for it is fucking stupid and makes no sense. Because it's obviously not their fault, and she would know that. It's obviously the fault of this Lucky Letcher lore. That's not on them. It's not actually doing what the name implies. It's not actually luring in lecherous people. All it's doing is causing you to get in compromising situations for no real reason. It makes no sense for her to get angry at them for it. It would make more sense if she was constantly flustered and embarrassed whenever it happened and like ran away crying or something. That would at least be understandable of a reaction. But no, they have to have her hit them because comedy. It is the one thing that really drags down this show for me. Because everything else in it is great. The lore is interesting. The other characters are great. The action is fantastic. The animation. All of that. But then you get to anything with Tamaki and it's like, I hate her as a character. Like, it's not that I just don't like her. I hate her as a character. Because she is there for that purpose and that purpose alone. Even at the times they try to make her have some kind of like sad emotional moment or something. Like with Rekka, I believe his name was. I might be wrong on that. The red-haired dude. When that situation happened and all, they like tried to make her have like this sad emotional moment, like that was supposed to get you to like be on her side and everything. It's like I don't believe this. It's tonal whiplash with her character. It doesn't feel right to have her character be like this when literally every other point in the series she's just a walking like gross sexual abuse gag. And it gets on my nerves. It really does. So I apologize if I'm like taking up all these pre-thoughts just talking about this, but it's like with how it was handled, especially last episode, it bothered the shit out of me. It irritated the shit out of me. I hated how that was handled. Maki being a badass, all is good there. Seeing Arthur and Shinra be a badass, cool. I've even warmed up to Arthur a little bit. Seeing some badass inventing skills from Vulcan, love that. Hell, even seeing some badass abilities from the villains, the Whiteclads. Yeah, I love to see that too. But it's like, just stop with this bullshit stuff with Tamaki. Because it's like, this series has proven it can do fan service right. That it can do fan service in a way that's believable, that's smart and clever, and that actually pushes the story forward. Fan service that doesn't just feel like you're trying to get your audience off, but rather feels like it has a point in the context of the show. This series has proven it can do that. And yet, they rely much more heavily on Tamaki half the time. And it's just like, it's the worst part of this show, and the only bad part of the show. It's not even just worse by association, it's actively bad, and it actively brings down the rest of the show. That's why I'm harping on it so much, because it actively hurts the series. And it's just like, there's always going to be, in almost any show I ever watch, a character or characters or a plot point or something that I just don't like. That's always going to happen. There's even that in One Piece with the likes of the Foxy Pirates and stuff, and the Davy Back fight. It's like, there's always, in any anime or show or whatnot I watch, there's always going to be something that just does not grip me as much as everything else. But it doesn't always actively hurt the series that it's a part of. But this is one of those occasions where it does. Even My Hero Academia, again, at least it's acknowledged that Mineta is in the wrong the entire time. And at least he gets actively punished for it. That's not really the case here. And yeah, it's not like she's trying to do any of this. I'm not necessarily saying Tamaki's at fault. But the way they handle it, the way it's handled with Tamaki blaming everyone who happens to be caught up in it, even though it's not in any way on them, it irritates me. And the way it's used, just the manner that they implement it in here, it's bad. It's actually worse than Mineta, and that's saying something. Because you guys know, I went off about Mineta in the past. I fucking lost my shit over how much I hate Mineta. So saying this is worse it says a lot. But it is. And it really makes me, honestly, sometimes wanting to put this off. Like I said today, I was debating whether or not to get into pre-recording this because I didn't want to see more of that or have the possibility of seeing more of that. I want to avoid that. And it's like, the problem is, if I continue watching this series, which I want to do because I like the series otherwise, there's nothing I can do. It's like, hell, and this author has shown, even in his other series, Soul Eater. I think it's a him. If it's not a him, if the author uses she/her pronouns or whatnot, I do apologize. I think it's a him though. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But the author in Soul Eater has proven that they know how to use like proper fan service. And even how to use it well for a joke. The entire stuff with Death the Kid complaining about Patty and Liz having different boob sizes is actually kind of funny. And again, he gets punished for doing it. He gets punished when he just suddenly grabs their chests. Liz knocks him on the head and shit. And it's like, the author has shown that he can do fan service properly. So what the fucking hell is up with Tamaki? And I don't know if this author's done anything else besides Soul Eater and Fire Force, but it's just like, it's just bothering me a lot that an author can do fan service really well, but then do it so, like, surprisingly and obnoxiously bad in one specific situation that it just really I hate it. I hate it. And it's funny too, because going back to the Soul Eater comparison, Patty's my favorite character in Soul Eater. One of my favorite characters is involved with that joke in Soul Eater, so it's like, and here Tamaki is not just my least favorite character in this, but the only one I actively hate. Like, I don't even actively hate the likes of Giovanni. He's a scumbag, but I enjoy watching him. I don't actively hate him. There's no one in this that I've really had those thoughts on. So it's like, just, Tamaki is the only one. And again, it's because it pisses me off so much on how this is done. And another thing to note, because I do want to move on from this. Just, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm getting really upset. It was pointed out to me, but I did notice as well, on my own, that I was wrong about Victor. I had been saying, like, that Victor was the one who had been changing the faces and all during that, during the arc with Benny and everything. He wasn't. I for some reason in my head got the idea that it was him. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we saw him like being sneaky and working in the background with Joker before, so it's like it just my mind for some reason made that connection. But no, it was some other dude. Apparently, his name was said as well, but I don't even remember it. It was even mentioned in the comments of previous video, and I don't even remember what it was. You don't have to tell me. I'd rather see whenever this character does return, like, just get the information then and everything. But yeah, apparently it was a completely different character. I still say Victor cannot be 100% trusted because we know for a fact he is still working with Joker. And Joker is not 100% trustworthy. He seems to be kind of siding with them for now, even Joker is. But I would not say that they're on our hero's side. So, like, Hibana and them still being unsure about him, completely fair. But, I mean, knowing now for sure that he wasn't the guy who was changing the faces, it does make him a little more trustworthy to me as a viewer. Plus, again, he is just really fun. He's a really fun, entertaining character, so there is that. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what happens more as they continue down into the Nether. So I assume just the rest of this season's going to be just this arc, just them fighting the Whiteclads. Maybe a little bit of something else at the end of the final episode, 24. But I think this is what the rest of the season's probably just going to be. And I'm fine with that. I'm definitely interested to see what more we get down here, and I still think it is probably going to end with another confrontation / fight between Shinra and Sho. But we'll see how it goes down. There's still quite a few things that it's explaining about the entire beginning of this, like, mind is blanking, post-apocalyptic world. They're still explaining stuff about how the Great Cataclysm happened and everything, and the guy who kind of started the rebirth of humanity's second chance, I guess you could say. So I'm interested to hear more of the lore dropped about that too. And I'm just wondering if by the end of this season we're going to get a little more information on the Evangelist at all, since we are dealing so directly with the Whiteclads here and everything, and we're going to be dealing with Sho, who seems to be pretty high up with them. I wonder if we are going to get any actual, like, information on the actual Evangelist, the one running everything. I'm genuinely curious. Maybe we'll even get to see them. It's a possibility. But I don't know. There's 2 seasons out now, and I don't know if there's plans for a third. I actually do not know if a third season is already in the works. So I genuinely cannot say on that, but I don't know what to expect going forward, really. I'm excited to find out more, though, because there's a lot of opportunities here, and hopefully the Tamaki stuff just either stops or becomes much, much less. Preferably, Tamaki goes back to Company 1 and we just don't have to see her again. That would be preferable, but it probably won't happen. Either way, we're just going to get this started, hope for the best, and see what this episode and the continuation of this final arc of the season has in store. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, the battles with the Knights of the Ashen Flames, the Whiteclads, continue. And, yeah. This is a cult. Like, straight up. Let's be honest. This is a cult. Like, it's not even... I mean, it was obvious before, but, like, they're not even hiding it. Like, they're not even pretending. They're openly admitting to emotional and mental manipulation and everything. And it's just like, oh my god, like, you can't see how bad this is? You can't see how wrong that kind of thing is? Like, you're admitting to it. But in this episode, so we really have 3 main characters focused on in this one. Well, okay, 4. 4 of our main heroes. We have, well, in 2 fights as well. We have the Lieutenant taking on Arrow. We have Arthur taking on Shimmer. Which both are kind of part of the same fight, in a way. And then we have... Vulcan and Obi taking on Dr. Giovanni and Feeler, as is her Whiteclad name. So we also get a little bit with Tamaki and Iris reconvening with Maki, but that's just a minor little thing. Shinra is in here, but again, minor little thing. It's not like a focus. So let's talk about the actual focus stuff. The Lieutenant versus Arrow, definitely the highlight of the episode, 100%. Like, the Lieutenant's always been this character who's like, yeah, he's a stoic badass, he's very by the numbers, he's very serious, very rule-based and everything. But he's always been just legitimately a cool character. And here we get to see, I don't know if it's the full extent of his power, but at least pretty damn close. We get to see the amount of speed and power he can fire his guns with, to the point where it literally destroys the barrel, to where he has to replace it after every shot. And we see how he can even use his own shots to manipulate other people's fire to increase his own speed, the speed of his own bullets as they're already flying through the air. So we really get to see some epic badassery in play. Arrow, we had seen before during the entire arc with Benny and everything. She managed to escape while the big dude did not. And she is definitely pretty badass in her own right. Like, I've always kind of enjoyed Archer characters. Like, archery can be pretty badass if it's done right. So it's like, I really like what they did with her and how they handled her. Even if she wasn't, like, given a huge amount of focus. Like, honestly, if I'm being honest, just in the little bit of focus she's had in this, she's a better character than Hawkeye in the MCU. I'm sorry, but Hawkeye is a terrible character in the MCU. And it's kind of the reason I still haven't watched the Hawkeye series. Because I can't stand him. But, yeah. She's already a much better character, much more interesting, more engaging to watch. And I just enjoy watching her in action more. And not just because of the literal firepower. But after he manages to defeat her, he's being ganged up by Shimmer and this other Whiteclad. So he decides to request help from Arthur above. Arthur comes out, the one dude escapes, and so Arthur takes on Shimmer. And Shimmer is trying to just stay in the shadows while using his shimmers, his clones, his shadow clones, basically, to keep trying to make Arthur, well, basically freak out again. He's trying to make Arthur lose his composure and everything so he can attack when the opponent is at their weakest point. A strategic idea, but also a very cowardly one. And he's using this because he's done it before back at Vulcan's place, to get Arthur to like lose his cool. Unfortunately, Arthur has trained with Benny since then, and Benimaru is the strongest of the Fire Force. So, yeah, Arthur's kind of leveled up quite a bit. Using his new Samurai Knight multi-class, he is able to sense the breathing of Shimmer and attack him through the pillar that that the lieutenant was leaning against. And although Hinawa is like clearly and fairly freaked out by it at first and like angry at him, the instant he realizes that Arthur was completely right in what he did and that he knew exactly what he was doing, he acknowledges him. He tells him, "Good job, you did good." And yeah, he did. Again, as I've said in the pre-thoughts, Arthur has grown on me. I still think he's kind of annoying, but he's actually showcased the propensity for growth and the ability to better himself. Not to mention, he is pretty badass in a fight. And he's funny at times, too. He's not as bad of a character as he started out as. So we see that kind of come to a conclusion, but they start to question the other guy who escaped, noting that his face looked really weird, and they started questioning if he was human, and now I'm questioning it, and it's like, oh, you need to throw these thoughts into my head too. It's like, I've already have so much to think about with everything that's going on, and now you're making me question whether this character we see is a human. What the fuck else would he be? Like, what are you getting at here? I genuinely don't understand. Is he like some kind of bioengineered super weapon or something? Is that what it's getting at? I don't know. But either way, we then go to Obi and Vulcan, who are confronted by Giovanni and Feeler. And Vulcan is happy to see her. He's trying to, like, he's complimenting her, and she's clearly falling for it. Because it's very clear she does still like him. But Giovanni, puppet master as he clearly is, pulls on those strings and makes his marionette dance. And dance she does as she brings out her feelers, her fire feelers. Fortunately, Obi is there to just be a total non-powered badass as he is. And while the fight doesn't actually begin between these two sides here, we definitely get some more mental and emotional pulls. And Giovanni basically teases us by saying, "Oh, the evangelist, he knows everything. You know that, right? Like, he knows where these bugs come from. He knows everything about spontaneous human combustion. The evangelist is the evangelist." It's like, all this information that you guys are looking for, all this information that you guys want to know, the evangelist knows. And it's like, okay, we kind of assumed that. Like, that's not like any kind of big surprise. Like, what are you getting at? Like, and then he basically says afterwards, like, yeah, the evangelist knows, but I'm not going to tell you. Nah, 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 nah. It's like, what? It's like, again, they knew that the evangelist knew about things. Like, that's not a surprise at all. You're acting like this is some kind of big fount of information. It's really not. Like, you didn't tell them anything they didn't already know, so what's the point? Are you just bragging to brag? Are you just being a ridiculous child? Like, what is even happening here? It's silly, but in kind of an entertaining way. And I hate it when he makes the mask's nose bounce, and it just makes those rubbery noises, and it's so weird. And it's like, oh, that's that's weird. I don't like that. Don't do that. It's goofy as hell too, and it's like, you're a scary dude. Why are you being goofy? Why? But either way, this episode was much, like, drastically better than the last one. It had some great action, some really cool moments for multiple characters. I just really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's definitely clear that we're progressing through this to where it is going to end up with Shinra taking on Sho. And I'm definitely interested. The entire Shinra Bond Sho thing was dumb, by the way. And it's like him kind of protecting Victor was okay. Like, of course we knew he would. But it's like, again, Shinra's part in this was very minimal in this episode, so maybe we'll get more of him next episode. We'll see. But speaking of that, we have 4 episodes left, and we're going to be doing them in 2-episode chunks. And I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. If I'm being completely honest, as I said in the pre-thoughts, there's almost this point where I'm reaching where I'm just... It's not that I'm dreading getting to reactions, because again, I'm still very much enjoying this. It's just that I'm at that point where I guess I'm feeling a little burnt out, honestly. Pun very much intended. But seriously, I think I'm feeling a little burnt out, and it's weird because it's like it doesn't feel like it's been that long since we just came back to this and everything. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I just kind of want to get onto something else for the time being. And maybe part of it is because of the Tamaki stuff just bothering me. Maybe part of it is just because of that, but I kind of want to get on with it, so we're going to do 2 more videos. We're going to do 21 and 22 in one video, and 23 and 24 in the next one after that. So we'll do 2 episodes each for those, and then we'll just move on from that point. Obviously, we will continue on with Season 2 of Fire Force at some point in the future, but yeah, we're going to obviously take a break after we finish Season 1. But yeah, I do really want to see how this ends. I am very excited to see how this season ends. And I'm really excited for a lot more great action. I can already say, though, that I do hope Season 2 has more Hibana in it. Princess Hibana is still my favorite character. And I want to see her in action more. We kind of got robbed of that a couple episodes ago, and it's like, I want to see her in action more, so it's like, please let her be in Season 2 a lot more. Do not spoil me on that, by the way. Do not tell me if she is or isn't. I want to see, like, how much characters are involved in the next season when I get to that eventually. But tell me in the almost said contents. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Fire Force? And thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.